We have some new allegations from one of the world's largest podcasters that claims Bitcoin was created by the CIA. Today, we're going to be exploring whether it's true and what it means for you if Bitcoin was created by either the NSA, FBI, or maybe the U.S. government. So let's roll the clip for you.
Do you invest in Bitcoin? Do you think it's like a viable asset to invest in?
Oh, man. I don't want to make more enemies. I mean, you want the real, it's my last answer, but you want the actual answer?
Yeah, sure.
And here's why. I spoke at the Bitcoin conference actually last year. I've spoken at a couple of Bitcoin conferences. I love the idea of Bitcoin because I love the idea of financial autonomy. I don't want what I buy or sell to be tracked. I don't want my money to be tracked. It's nobody's business. I pay my taxes. I've never cheated on my taxes. I've been very tempted, but I never have one time cheated on my taxes. And once the money's mine, like I can do what I want with it. And if you find me breaking the law, arrest me. But if you don't, it's none of your beeswax, as the kids say. So I love the idea of the blockchain. I knew some of the people involved in that whole thing. And I still believe in that promise, okay? Roger Ver, for example. I don't know how closely do you follow this, but like, there are people who still believe in that. But it turns out that it is not, to this point, Ben, I hope it will be, a way to conduct financial transactions privately at all. And that really freaks me out. I'm really afraid of a digital currency because that is totalitarian control. If you can punish people, if you can zero out their bank account and keep them from eating, you will have total obedience. Like, that's totalitarian. And I know that young people love crypto because they've been completely screwed in the job market and there are no financial opportunities for most of them. And they know they're staring down a life of, if not poverty, certainly a step down from the way they grew up, most young people. And so Bitcoin for them, crypto in general for them, is a promise of like, how can I make it in this world? Like, I would like to have a normal life. How can I do that? And crypto is a way they think that they can. And I'm praying for them. I hope that's true. But I fear that it will become like so many other things in our country, a scam of sorts run by a coalition of the financial beneficiaries, like a few people who are getting all the winnings, and the politicians they control who use it to further their control of American society. I'm really worried about that. And so I'll just be totally blunt with you. I'm a gold buyer, and I've been vindicated big time in that. And everyone's like, oh, you're crazy buying gold. Yeah. You know, it was good enough for the Phoenicians. It's good enough for me. And I, in general, don't get involved in anything I don't understand. I think that's a really good rule. There's some things I think I understand, turns out I didn't understand them, but in general, I try to limit myself to things I understand. And nobody can explain to me who Satoshi was, the creator of Bitcoin, this mysterious guy who apparently died, but nobody knows who he was. You know, I grew up in DC primarily, in a government family, so CIA. That's my guess, can't prove it, but like, you're telling me to invest in something whose founder is like mysterious and has billions of dollars of unused Bitcoin. Like, what is that? And no one can answer the question, including some of the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the world. Do I know personally? They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It matters to me, right?
Love to see it. Love to see it. All right. Well, I think the biggest, or of course, Sophie's here with us one more time. Well, actually, couple more times. I don't know when Nico's coming back.
I keep feeling like it's Friday and it's only Thursday, which, you know, if you're feeling it too, it's almost over.
yeah. Literally, Bitcoin's almost over.
And to be honest, I have a feeling I will be back on Monday. So
yeah, I think you're gonna be here till Tuesday. Anyways, let's unpack what Tucker was saying. Now, there is one thing he said that I kind of do agree with him is the fact that there is, you know, privacy concerns when it comes to Bitcoin. So on that point, I'll give him that. Like, I will give him that much. That obviously this is one of the big topics in Bitcoin. It's been in Bitcoin for a long time, but this FUD from Tucker, like the old FUD, or the new FUD is the same as the old FUD. Like, this is something that Bitcoiners have been talking about for a long time. And if this is the only reason that he's not buying Bitcoin, it's like, bro, come on here. I mean, literally, when Satoshi left, most of us Bitcoiners basically attribute it to Gavin, one of the lead, rather the head developer at the time that Satoshi kind of passed the baton to, he went and did a presentation at the CIA, and that's usually when people say that Satoshi left the project in general. So personally, I think this holds no water, but we will kind of unpack some of the stuff that he was saying. Of course, like I said, I do kind of agree with him in terms of the privacy aspects of Bitcoin. Yes, we know that that is something that does need to improve. We want to improve it. It is being improved in real time. But of course, a completely auditable, transparent ledger by its nature just isn't private on, you know, the fundamental layer one of Bitcoin. So on that one, I will give him that. Now I think,
but on another note, you know, neither is any other transaction on earth. I mean, even if you pay for something in cash, there is like some traceability to cash, because you're gonna wonder like where you got it from, where is your bank account, who gave it to you. Like, you know, you could lie, but it's still traceable. Yeah, everything is traceable is what I'm trying to say. And everything can be concealed up until a certain extent. So I don't really buy that as an argument, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like if that's the only like, all right, we'll go boil down just that first conversation. He's like, I'm not going to buy this Bitcoin thing because it's not totally private. And literally the only other option is what you use a CBDC that is like literally by definition not going to be private, bro. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But
I don't think a lot of Bitcoiners have gotten into Bitcoin necessarily because of the privacy per se. That's just kind of like an added bonus. I think that Bitcoiners fundamentally became Bitcoiners and bought Bitcoin because our currency is getting debased. And that kind of applies to gold as well. I mean, gold, there was recently, like, geologists reportedly found one of the largest mines in the world in China, and they're going to continue to find gold. Gold supply goes up around 1.5% every year, but Bitcoin is absolutely finite. So the scarcity aspect here is something that I don't think Tucker Carlson really understands or grasps, and I give him credit where credit is due for admitting that he doesn't buy anything that he doesn't understand. You know, and I think that that's kind of the signal here. That's the fundamental
that's the main
issue.
signal here.
That's the main signal. Like, he doesn't understand Bitcoin, and a lot of people don't at the beginning. And a lot of people, he's going through the motions, right? First, you doubt it. I doubted Bitcoin. I had so many questions, and I just couldn't believe that it kind of just seemed a little too good to be true. And I also just didn't understand it. I didn't understand the necessity for it or the utility. And once you start to go down that rabbit hole, that's when you realize, like, the privacy aspect. Okay, fine. If I did concede that point, it's kind of like a non-issue when you realize that you can see everybody's transactions on the blockchain. And actually, that makes it safer for people to, you know, maybe not get robbed. Whereas with a traditional finance people, you know, the banks have a literal concession in their budget for money laundering. Like, they just pay a fine. It's part of their budget. And like, you're gonna come and criticize Bitcoin for privacy issues. Like, it's not really an issue that I am buying here from Tucker. And I think he's a lot smarter than that. And there's definitely maybe underlying reasons as to why he said what he said.
Yeah, let's start unpacking some of the other stuff. Now, the big one that he said was obviously he thinks the CIA created Bitcoin. I think we've debunked it. I mean, very simply, like, Satoshi most likely left because a very popular developer went and talked to the CIA and did a presentation about Bitcoin. But going to what he actually said, I think there's a lot more signal there than most people realize. He literally said, my family is part of the government. And if you kind of, if you don't put the right comma in that conversation, he almost basically outed himself, guys. Like, I don't know if you know, but his dad was a CIA agent for a long time, and he claimed that he only knew after his death. That's at least the public narrative here. So, hey, the thing to me is, if one, your dad was in the CIA, two, you wanted to join the CIA, and apparently you got, they didn't let you do that, then I think you'd have to come here with a lot stronger evidence and some speculation. Like, if anyone should know if the CIA created, I think it should be Tucker. I mean, am I crazy?
He definitely has some feelings about it. Like, I feel like there's trauma there. On his show, he alleges that, like, he found out on his deathbed and it really hit him hard because he didn't know his whole life. I don't know if that's true, but if that is true, like, he must feel like everything is created by the CIA. I mean, I would be like living my life in such a paranoid delusion if I found out, like, midlife that my father in the CIA. That's crazy.
Yeah, and look, you're being a lot more generous than I am. Obviously, I'm being maybe a lot more skeptical of his understanding of it, and I am I am giving him some benefit of the doubt. Like, I will give him some leeway, and maybe you could say that once he found out, he turned against all of that and he never knew, or maybe he had some epiphany and he realizes that this is where all the bad stuff in the world come from. Like, I'll concede to those points that, okay, maybe he had a turn of heart here and now he's trying to do some good, or, like Sophie was saying, when he found out, it maybe was like a shocker to him. And this is why he's kind of gone on this whole arc of exposing the powers that be. Look, I can't read his mind. I don't know what's in his heart. But I'm just saying, like, the things adding up here, the things we know for sure is his dad was a part of the CIA. He wanted to be a part of the CIA. And now he comes out here with this speculation, this old FUD line that, oh, I'm not buying it because Bitcoin was created by the CIA. And I don't really have any proof to this. And it's like, look, bro, you're one of the biggest podcasters. I think we need a little more than that.
I mean, let's explore that, right? Like, what if it were created by the CIA? Why would the CIA create a technology that would essentially destroy the dollar? That doesn't make any sense. That, like, it's a direct competitor to the institutional power at its foundational layer of the United States. It's like the biggest leverage that they have. Why would they create that and compromise that? And if they did create it, why wouldn't they be stacking like crazy from the beginning? Why would there be all of these obstacles, and why would they be buying now? It doesn't make any sense. There's more questions to that assertion than answers, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the only favorable line I could think of, the only thing that makes sense to me of why the CIA would create Bitcoin, whether that means something or not, I did bring up a bunch of Bitcoiners' tweets about it and kind of the general consensus here. But my more cynical view of, if they did create it, it's like, if anyone needs a money that cannot be stopped to do things that maybe the government doesn't want them to do, it would obviously be the CIA. Like, I'm not even saying anything crazy here. If you know anything about the CIA and history, they've been caught in doing some things that are unfavorable to the general public palate. So
CIA is a secret whale, confirmed.
I mean, it could potentially be. Now, the last one before I bring up a lot of the Bitcoiners' takes on this, popular Bitcoiners' tweets on this, is his how he ended that clip. This idea that, oh, because I don't know who the creator of Bitcoin is, I'm not going to buy something, like, that's important to me. I literally think you get that so much as a Bitcoiner. You hear a lot of people ask that's like Bitcoin 101. Like, that's the very beginning point. That's literally like the first question that most people ask is like, oh, okay, you know, you should buy some of this Bitcoin thing. And then they're like, okay, that's interesting. Thank you for the you know, the shill and what your thoughts are, but like, who created it? And you're like, we don't know. And they're like, oh, I don't want to buy this. How do I want to buy something that I don't know what it is? And it really, as all Bitcoiners have been saying, it always kind of goes back to the same argument. It's like, do you know who created the wheel? And you still use the wheel. That's still a very, you know, like a very popular technology that does improve your life, and you really don't care who created it. Like, I'm sure at this point you can pinpoint, you know, the creators of the internet, and this is where, you know, it does kind of have some parallels to this argument. It's like, we all know the internet was created out of DARPA, and yet every single one of us use it and really don't think about it in this term. I guess maybe because it comes to money is when people start to get a little weird about it. And I mean, again, I will give him a little bit of leeway here in the idea that he was saying. It's like, I know a lot of young people have invested everything into this because, you know, we weren't given much and we think this is our escape. And he's concerned that this might be a scam and we might get scammed on this and lose everything and really kind of give up more power than we are wanting to. I've been saying this on the show for a long time. If Bitcoiners aren't careful, we are in some sense creating a gilded cage here. Like, if we don't steward the Bitcoin network, you know, correctly and in the right way, excuse me, guys, sorry about that. We are potentially building ourselves, you know, like a panopticon, just total control, or rather total trackability of everything we're doing. That is a total concern here for Bitcoiners and for me personally. And of course, you do go into this Bitcoin thing, and the longer you're in it, these concerns kind of fade away because you've understood the network and you did the work to get there. But I think at a lot of times we all wonder the same thing. Like when Larry Fink came into Bitcoin, you guys heard us live on the show wondering, it's like, wow, are we actually doing what we say we're doing? Or are we, you know, potentially doing what we think is good, but actually it's being co-opted here? Like, these are things that Bitcoiners talk about. And I'm sure we've all had these thoughts recently, considering, hey, the biggest institutions are on our side. And I know I was on the show saying, like, look, we have nation states. We have Larry Finks of the world. We even have Jamie Dimon starting to say kind of nice things about it. It's like, are we actually doing what we say we're doing? And I think we all have these kind of thoughts every once in a while. Like, it does bubble up every once in a while. And then you're like, nah, bro, like, of course, you know, I'm getting lost in the black pill here. But, you know, I get it. But I think, like you said, Sophie, the real signal to that conversation was 2.5 minutes into it, when he was like, look, I don't understand Bitcoin at all, and I don't invest in anything that I don't understand. And to me, that's the most signal. And Tucker has been very honest about his understanding of money, and he's said it a lot in the past. He's like, I don't understand money at all. And then you're just like, okay, all right, then really, why are we getting your opinion on this? And then also, I know I saw some clips about this, and he got really angry. Tucker got really mad about this, but Tucker's also very wealthy. Like, he's a deca millionaire. At least that's what the rumors are. So I get from his perspective why he doesn't really care about it. Obviously, he's also a gold bug, and it's kind of hard to change gold bug's mind on Bitcoin versus gold. I mean, that Phoenicians line was kind of funny, though.
Eventually they get it.
We can only hope. But I mean, realistically, from like a Bitcoiner's perspective, or from a, you know, slay your heroes perspective, from a doesn't need authority figures perspective, like, it really doesn't matter what Tucker says from our side. But again, he's in a room packed full of young people, and they do listen to what he says. And he's like, I'm not buying this. So I'm guessing a lot of people that were in that audience are like, cool, you know, you just confirmed to me that I probably shouldn't buy this as well. And I would argue he's doing, you know, the people listening to him a disservice. So, I mean, like, if he's going to opine about certain things, and I mean, look, I'm a talking head, and I talk about things that I don't know all the time as well. You know, I think he should do just the basic research on what it is. Anyways.
Apparently he has done the basic research.
I mean, he talked to Sailor.
Yeah, and he's still not convinced. I think it takes a lot of years. You can't just understand everything about Bitcoin in one conversation or in two conversations. Sometimes it takes years, and it takes something happening in your personal life, which you know, because of Tucker Carlson being so wealthy and having that sort of privilege, like he might not ever get it. You know, when I was orange pilled, it basically took me working in a developing country and seeing how the banks over there worked. It literally I had to be taken out of the American financial system for me to understand how Bitcoin would work globally. And then I could understand why it could work in the United States and, you know, and in my personal life, and how it actually affects you more than just financially. And actually, on another note, you know, taking the financial aspect aside, he's saying, you know, and I agree that this is like a little bit of a stretch, but just follow me for a second. Tucker Carlson is a Christian and he believes in the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. And I think a lot of the times Bitcoiners kind of allege to Bitcoin having this virgin birth, and why, and that's what makes it so different from other cryptocurrencies. In fact, the reason that it's so that people trust it so much is because there is no central figure. The fact that there is no person at the center of Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is operated by all of us, it's run by all of us, is the feature, not a bug. It is like kind of at the center of why this stuff works. And I don't think he understands that. I think that he believes that, you know, finances still have to be very centralized, that it has to be governed by some institution. He hasn't realized yet that
Boomer.
it's because those important things in our lives are run by an institution that it doesn't work anymore. Human beings are fallible, human beings are greedy, human beings, you know, with something as delicate as money that provides so many incentives on the day to day for human beings, it is not, you know, in our best interest to leave this in the hands of human beings. So in my opinion, I think he just has a lot more to learn, not just about how Bitcoin works on a financial level, but also on a philosophical level. I think he would agree with a lot of the things that Bitcoin and Bitcoiners align with, because he himself aligns with those values.
Well, I think that really does bring up to the idea of, does he actually believe everything he says, or is he just saying because he knows his audience well? Now, I mean, of course, look, I am being a little cynical.
You're being a hater.
I am being a hater. I'm being a hater. Anyways, let's I'll pull up some of the responses from Bitcoiners. Some of them were already mentioned in the chat. And I didn't want to cover these ones because, of course, I'm going to read these tweets. Here we go. Whoa, what's going on here? Is it this one? Okay. I guess that works. All right. We got first one is Jack Mahler's. And Jack Mahler's goes, of course, from Strike and 21 Capital. And he goes, if you think knowing who created Bitcoin matters, you don't understand it. Bitcoin is open source. Nobody has special rights, and everyone can verify that. It doesn't matter who created Bitcoin. Bitcoin is neutral technology, like math. Who invented math, Tucker? Okay.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, it's like, who invented math? If one person would have invented math and there would have been these rules that suddenly that one person could change, how difficult would that make your life? I mean, they're changing how kids do math.
They
in
did
school
change
right
math. Remember, 1 + 1 does not equal 2 anymore.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, and look at how terrible that was for society. So, I mean, you know, math has to just be reality. And I think, again, Bitcoin aligns itself closer to the truth and to reality, that, you know, and it does that in such a way that it might be difficult for somebody who's lived their entire lives in the central financial system. You know, it might be difficult for them to understand, as well as the fact that he probably benefits from that old financial system. So, you know, we got to also ask ourselves where his financial incentives are, and
Yeah,
analyze that.
and further, like Bitcoiners always say, you know, Bitcoin does have a way of exposing incentives, and obviously we're speculating, and I'm being a little bit cynical about it. I don't know what it is. I mean, Sophie, you did bring up, like, isn't one of his big sponsors like a gold gold selling exchange or something like that.
I thought
Or maybe that's just Alex Jones.
It might just be Alex Jones. I don't remember now. I started trying to look it up and I couldn't find anything, so that might have just been like, pregnancy brain. But I do kind of remember him talking about gold, and like the chat can maybe verify. I'm almost sure he has been or is sponsored by some sort of gold company. So
yeah, and honestly, I'm not even mad for like I tell you guys, my dad loves gold too, and he literally is only caring about Bitcoin basically because I'm a Bitcoiner, and he's just happy to see what I'm doing, mean that I don't have to ask him for money. So I get it. Okay, next one we got over here. We have Marty, and this one I think it's probably like the best one here, and he goes, Tucker will come around when he realized that it doesn't matter if the CIA created Bitcoin. Even if the CIA did, it didn't. Anyone is so driven and capable can audit the code to determine whether it does what it's supposed to do, and that's all that matters. Oh, my bad, guys. Yeah, so I just read it, but it goes on further, and he goes, the most compelling part of Bitcoin value prop is its simplicity. There's nowhere for the CIA to hide in Bitcoin's code base. It's too simple. And then the last one, this is what I love, the last one. He goes, even if the CIA did create Bitcoin, that's way more based in red pill than I ever could have imagined, which is kind of what Sophie was saying earlier. It's like, if they did create it, it kind of goes against everything that they kind of believe. Obviously, I would argue that most people in the government are Keynesians, and to like pick on a fringe kind of like Austrian economic technology that is hard capped, it really does run counter to what their kind of fundamental beliefs are. The last one is Gary Cardone. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Gary Cardone, but he is a recent Bitcoin convert, and he goes, guys, let's review Tucker's own words. He has stated on numerous of his shows, I know nothing about money. I am horrible with it, and I'm a bad investor. It is completely consistent with his financial intellect that he would prefer gold/silver over Bitcoin, and thus his response. Don't take advice from people who say they don't understand finance, investment, or money. I think that's probably like the biggest shot across the bow, but
I mean, it's true, and I think Tucker himself admitted to that. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you don't really understand finances, especially when they've been taking care of your entire life. Like, that's fair. At least he admitted it. He was asked the question. I think he answered honestly. Obviously, it's not the answer that we would have wanted as Bitcoiners, but I think he answered pretty honestly, and anybody who can read between the lines can make a decision for themselves as to whether they want to listen to someone who doesn't know about finances, admittedly, and is also probably sponsored by Big Gold.
Big Gold. I love Big Gold.
Big Gold.
That meme's funny to me. Big Gold. Okay, so I guess at this point, Sophie, we should just ask ourselves: do you think CIA created Bitcoin?
Nah.
I mean, even if they did, like I'm kind of agreeing with Marty on this one. Like, even if they did, the code is completely auditable. It's completely open source. I mean, I don't have the skills to fully check it, but it's been verified. It's been checked a lot. There's, as far as any one of us knows, and even the smartest people that are in Bitcoin know, there is no backdoors. So if they did unleash Bitcoin to the world, I think that kind of take of his that it might be a scam and it might not be what we think it is, I don't think it really holds water. Like, we know what it is. Even if they did create it, it might just end up, if that does come out and the CIA did create Bitcoin, it might just come out like how we view the internet. We all know it came out of DARPA, and yet we love the internet, and we're not going back into a world without the internet. It obviously took on a life bigger than maybe, again, given that we're using that assumption as actually real.
If the CIA created Bitcoin, it might just be the only good thing they've done in their entire existence.
kind of bars. I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. But again, and then really like the whole don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. From our perspective, that's like a feature, not a bug. That's like the best part about this, when the idea is, if there is a head to chop off and you know who the person is, and maybe Satoshi isn't the, you know, angel that we all think he is, as some of the kind of conspiracy theories are on who Satoshi actually is. A lot of the people that it points to, they're not, you know, necessarily the best people in the world. And so by us not having a figurehead, this is why Bitcoin has been taken on by a grassroots movement, because there's no one to take down. There's no kind of person to look at and be like, he's responsible for this. Look, he's a bad guy. You probably shouldn't be buying this thing. That's the whole beauty of it. That's the whole beauty of the, you know, pseudonymous name of Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know who created it. All we can really look at is judging the man by the code, by what, you know, his ideas, as the meme goes, you know, an idea whose time has come and all that good stuff. So from just looking at Bitcoin and what it's accomplished, even if he did, like Marty was saying, I don't think it really matters at this point. But it is interesting that a lot of people will look at this and be like, Tucker's right. I knew I shouldn't have bought this thing. And on that point, you're like, okay, you know, not going to make it. Have fun staying poor.
I love how you had to add that line about it. I buy gold and I've been extremely vindicated. Like, all right, bro. Like, we'll see in a couple of months, I hope. I still believe in the bull run this year, guys.
Yeah, he's vindicated. What took him 20 years, but hey, finally vindicated. But no, I mean, I am being a little cynical on Tucker right now. And our boy, our reigning cash maxi on Rumble, he's like, Opti, if Tucker said something nice about him, you'd be kissing his feet. Yeah, I probably would be, but he's not saying nice things about Bitcoin. So in fact, he's actually hurting the people that are young and disenfranchised, the very people he's supposed to care about. He's telling them not to get into it. And maybe he didn't actually say, you know, don't do that. He's just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm going to do. But a lot of people do take what Tucker says seriously. And if you are at that Turning Point conference, I'm guessing for the most part, you're a young person and you are wanting some kind of change here. And again, I think he's doing all the people there a disservice. I would love to see them go full bore Bitcoin maxi, shilling Bitcoin. That would be great. You know, to get a whole new round of people that are enthused about changing things. Bitcoin is where they should be. That's like my take on this. Whether you're on the left or the right, it doesn't matter. Like, if you really don't like what you're looking at in the current system, then Bitcoin is where you need to be. As we always say, fix the money, fix the world. Anyways, I think we've gone. Is there anything more you want to say, Soph? Or I think we hit this.
No, yeah, we pretty much hit all the angles.
Okay. All right, guys. Of course, I do want to remind you guys to smash the like button. Comment on the show. Let us know what you think about the show. And I see some new people or haven't been back in a minute. They're like, I love the studio. Thank you. And also, we did start a little late because we were fixing the lights here. We had our light technician in here today. So as you can tell, no more shadows. We're trying to get the lights and everything perfect for you guys. And of course, subscribe to the channel. We're dropping the most content. And what Sophie said, you're dropping a new one. Is that tonight or tomorrow?
That will be today at 4 p.m. So look out for that.
Let's go. All right, guys. And of course, I got a jam-packed show for you guys. So we got a new clip from Brian Armstrong, and it is around the market structure bill. It's all the rage. There was a big meeting that some quote, you know, crypto CEOs, influential people in crypto. And again, I'm using crypto because they're not necessarily Bitcoiners. We're talking at the Hill yesterday, and we got this clip coming out. And I think there's an interesting Freudian slip here, which I'm probably going to break down. And then, a lot of people are worried about, you know, Trump talking later today, but last night he did do some interesting things. We'll break all that down. He actually pardoned someone. And then, guys, I'm doubling down on my, video. I forget when it was. Was it yesterday? No. Yeah, yesterday. Bitcoin Mag is finally picking up on the Wall Street attack of Bitcoin. So we're gonna rehash some things here. And of course, shout out to our partner over at Bitcoin. Well, we absolutely love these guys. They are the GOAT. Shouts out to Adam over there. If you want to buy Bitcoin, if you don't care what Tucker Carlson said, and you're sitting on the sidelines and you're new and you're like, yeah, I really don't care. I need to buy some Bitcoin. Make sure you go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and get some real Bitcoin. And I kind of hate using the real Bitcoin term, but if you don't take that Bitcoin into custody, then you don't know you have real Bitcoin. And this is why we love them, because when your money goes through, they send Bitcoin directly to your cold storage. They have never lost Bitcoin. They will never lose Bitcoin because they never hold your Bitcoin. You do need a Bitcoin wallet to sign up because you got to put your address there, and they will send you Bitcoin directly into your cold storage so that you can secure it, which is something we always talk about here on the show. It's not enough to just buy Bitcoin. You need to secure that Bitcoin, take it off the exchanges, and Bitcoin Well makes that literally by default. They're the only self-custody by default platform out there, and this is why we love the guys over at Bitcoin Well. When you sign up, you get 3 chances to win 1 million sats, which is, I don't know, $1,080 today since we got wrecked. Anyways, let's keep it moving. We'll be right back after this break.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
Oh, sorry, Ron. That's a good comment in the chat. Anyways, guys, the current Bitcoin price is $110,240. That is a negative 12.6% decline from all-time high. The market cap is back to $2.20 trillion, and the current block height is 920,426. 920,426. So 920,426, the current block height, or the only real time in the world, which is the Bitcoin block height. Anyways, as I was telling you guys, so there was a huge meeting last night. A lot of people were talking about it. I know David Sachs was there, Brian Armstrong, and there was also like a Fed conference. Was that Tuesday? So you can see that politicians and institutions, they are seemingly now taking Bitcoin seriously. It's almost like they have to take it seriously. And this clip was on, I believe it's CNBC this morning, and it was Brian Armstrong talking about when this market structure will potentially be law, or at least, they can vote on it. But I find the end, I was laughing at the end of this clip. Obviously, the first part of the clip, let me not ruin it, and then I'll talk about it. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, we had great meetings with the Democrats in the Senate and on the Republican side today. And the good news is that there's strong bipartisan support and will to get this market structure legislation done. It's important for America, and the 50 million Americans who've used crypto want to see it get done. And so one date we heard floated was, let's try to get this markup done before Thanksgiving. I think that there's 90% of the issues are already aligned on and agreed, and there's draft text going back and forth, a lot of great cross-functional collaboration happening. That last 10% are the remaining issues, and everyone committed to get in the room together and work it out, and hopefully we'll see some draft text or get it
Okay. So first of all, again, being less cynical. Maybe I'm feeling like cynical Fields today, Sophie. Maybe I'm just being very cynical today. But taking what he said on the surface level, the first thing he said, which is something that we have been talking about here on the show for a long time, is that for a while, it did seem like Bitcoin was being made partisan. Obviously, there's been a lot of headlines essentially calling it, crypto and MAGA, and then kind of framing Bitcoin or crypto as like a Republican thing. And we were, obviously, we came out very pro-Trump and RFK Jr. And of course, RFK Jr. did joined the Trump administration. And we were like, yo, you know, single issue voter here. Well, more Nico, less me. But hey, the Republicans are, you know, going full force. They're embracing Bitcoin. That's probably who you should vote if you're a Bitcoiner. But we also noticed a very kind of dangerous trend where a lot of headlines were essentially kind of making out or making Bitcoin a bad thing because it's a Republican, you know, the Republicans are favoring it. And we're like, this is a very dangerous line to be walking, especially as Bitcoiners, because who knows what's going to happen, you know, in 3 years from now if the Democrats do get back in party. And we all know what happened under the Biden administration. They actively attacked our industry. They tried to essentially destroy the industry, Operation Choke Point 2.0, et cetera, which we will have another story that does kind of continue that conversation. But we were saying, hey, this is about everyone. Everyone needs a better money. And it is, you know, it's a bad look for the Democrats not to embrace Bitcoin. So the on the surface level stuff of what Brian Armstrong was saying, of course, CEO Coinbase, of, hey, this is not a partisan thing. The Democrats and the Republicans have come together and agree on 90% of things. It is going to be interesting to see what that 10% disagreement isn't about, or rather 10% disagreement is about. I'm sure it's not going to be pretty, and we're going to have things to talk about. But the part to me that I find the most interesting of this clip, which just goes to show Brian Armstrong isn't a politician, it almost seems like a Freudian slip here. First, again, giving it on the surface some leeway here. He said we might be getting a market structure bill, or he hopes we're going to get a market structure bill by Thanksgiving, which is what, about a month away. Seems kind of like a little fast timeline here, but I keep saying the same thing. As much as I'm okay with politicians embracing Bitcoin and trying to get some kind of regulatory rules of the road as they keep framing it, I'm not holding my breath. I always kind of default to it's probably going to do more damage than good. But the last part of that clip, I think, is the funniest part, which, again, you know, he's not a politician. It might be a Freudian slip. He's like, we're going to get the market structure bill by Thanksgiving. And then 20 seconds later, he's like, yeah, we'll probably get something that we can, you know, vote on. And you're like, okay, so like, which one is it? Are we going to get it passed by Thanksgiving, or are we just going to finally see something materialize here? So again, being on the surface here and kind of just taking his words by what he said, it looks like the market structure bill is a huge push for, you know, Washington, D.C. right now, which is basically what the Trump administration has been saying. Again, we've been kind of covering that there hasn't really been much meat on that bone. It's been just more rhetoric. It's been more words than things being, you know, actually pushed through that benefits all of us Bitcoiners. So hopefully, again, being hopeful on one hand, like hopefully some good comes out of this. But from the end of that clip, it sounds like we might see something by Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's actually going to get pushed through by Thanksgiving.
Did he say this Thanksgiving, or was he specific? Because it could be next Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Yeah.
Washington is slow. Usually.
yeah, that's a good take.
And also, do we even need this bill? Like, what does this bill actually
that's
entail?
the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Do we really need this? Like, are we really I don't know. I feel like this is more of a sell the news thing, where people are saying like we're doing things, but are we really doing things? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what I've been saying for a while. Thanksgiving 2140. Yeah, the Thanksgiving when the last Satoshi is released. But no, yeah, Sophie, that's kind of what I've been saying for a while. Like, I really do like the rhetoric. Obviously, it's a 180 pivot from the last administration. They're at least starting to say some favorable things. But at this point, we're, 10 months in, almost 11 months into the first year of the Trump presidency. And we haven't really seen too much come out of it. And again, the midterm election cycles are coming very quickly. And I have a feeling that the Bitcoin kind of promises, the major ones, are just going to kind of fall by the wayside while more people kind of pivot to campaigning to get reelected. So it's like the time is ticking.
What promises were those exactly? Because I mean, he did get rid of choke point 2.0. He did free Ross.
True.
What other promises are there really left to keep? I mean, the promises and I don't, these were not promises, but the things that I would like to see personally, like if we're all gonna get together in Washington and we're gonna start, doing things and wasting people's time, I would like to see no capital gains on Bitcoin. Period. I would like to see
well, you did bring it up. He has said that in the past.
But where's the work there?
True. I think
I don't think there's a bill on the horizon that would ever pass the House. I mean, much less the Democrats, really, where they say that they're not going to do capital gains on Bitcoin. I mean, I don't see that ever happening. I would like to see the country embrace Bitcoin as currency. I would like to see the changes that they have made in El Salvador be implemented in the United States when it comes to Bitcoin. And, that's kind of what I want to see. If that's in the bill, cool, great. I can't wait for them to get it passed, whether it's this Thanksgiving, next Thanksgiving, take your time, just get that passed, because that's going to be generational impact that we see. But if not, then what are we doing here? What are we doing in Washington?
Yeah,
I just don't understand. Can you explain it to me, Opti?
I mean,
can you tell me what other promises were allegedly made here? Because I don't understand.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on the majority of that. I think the other promise that Bitcoiners, and maybe we were reading into this, but the other kind of idea was the strategic Bitcoin reserve, that they would buy Bitcoin. It turns out this whole budget neutral way, it seems like the only way they're getting Bitcoin is by taking your Bitcoin.
It's not the only way that they could do it. They could.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's not the only way they could do it, but that's the only way they've been.
I mean, it's not what I mean is like, it's not the only budget neutral way that they could do it. They could start accepting, for example, not that I would want this, but it is a budget neutral way to stack, is, accepting taxes in Bitcoin, to accept, payment for government. No, because that would come from our taxes, but that would be a big one. Just being able to pay for your taxes with Bitcoin, whether that be income tax or like your, capital gains on other things. That's budget neutral.
Yeah, I think the main one is the SBR for a lot of people, that they were, on the verge or rather very serious about acquiring 1 million Bitcoin. The Senator Lemons Bitcoin Act, acquiring 1 million Bitcoin, which it sounded like buy 1 million Bitcoin, essentially buy 200K Bitcoin a year for 4 or 5 years, hold it for long term. And part of that bill was this idea of reevaluating their gold, which actually we did hear some interesting stuff. I wasn't really going to bring it up today, but Scott Bessent, I believe it was last night or maybe it was this morning, he essentially said, like, since gold's been pumping so much, like, we're in a very good position right now, which is leading a lot of people to believe that they might actually, consider reevaluating their gold, and who knows what they're going to do with that. Of course, Senator Lummis has been saying for a while that reevaluating their gold and, selling it or just, creating more dollars to buy Bitcoin off of that as collateral. It's something that they've been talking about, been floating. But I'm with Sophie. The main thing is treat Bitcoin as money. And then, of course, not attack our industry. And essentially just like get out of our way for a little bit. I know that's hard to kind of have a government, but I think those are probably the main thing. Anyways, I do want to, play a commercial break here because we're going to continue this conversation in a minute.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
Hi everyone, it's me again doing BitKey ASMR. If you want your family to have the safest and easiest cold wallet on the market, tell them to cop a BitKey at bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 20% off.
Love it. Love it. Okay.
We just came back to Zen.
Honestly, I'm pretty zenned out. Guys, let me know in the chat. Is the audio cutting out, or are we lagging or something like that? I don't know. The internet's been having some trouble over here, so hopefully we're coming through right now. But let me know in the chat as I keep it moving. All right, guys. So as I was telling you, we're going to continue this conversation about the Trump administration and how serious they are around, embracing Bitcoin. Okay. It looks like we're okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.
The mean tweets are back.
The mean tweets are back. It say audio is cutting out. Is it cutting out for most people? If it's cutting out for you, maybe you need to you cutting out.
Am I cutting out?
Are we cutting out? All right. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep it running. All right. Someone says good for me, so we're doing it for you, bro. Okay. So again, the conversation that we're having, or kind of been having, is this idea, like, how serious is the Trump administration about, the quote, Bitcoin superpower of the world being America. We did get an interesting news last night. I know a lot of you Bitcoiners might not be that happy about it, but I think you can kind of take this news two ways here. So let me just cover it first. Oops, wrong one. You can see here, I'm on Wall Street Journal. I don't have the full article here, so I'm going to have to use an article that does read this, but you can see the Wall Street Journal headline: Trump pardons convicted Binance founder. Pardon follows months of effort by Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, from Binance to boost Trump crypto company. Again, you can see the Wall Street Journal is bent on Bitcoin and, of course, the Trump administration. And you guys can see I can't actually read this because I don't have Wall Street Journal. So I'm coming over here to thestreet.com, which does reference the Wall Street Journal article. So Trump reportedly pardons Binance founder CZ. The reported pardon, and it has been kind of confirmed by multiple news sources. I was looking for it on True Social. I couldn't find actual Trump True Social, nor could I find the executive order come out on the official White House website. But apparently, verified by multiple news sources that he was pardon. So the reported pardon on Binance founder marks one of the most consequential intersections yet between U.S. politics and crypto. U.S. President, of course, Donald Trump, reportedly pardoned Binance, according to Wall Street Journal. The decision would mark a stunning political comeback for one of the most recognizable figures in global crypto, and a signal that the new Trump administration may be taking a sharply different approach to digital asset regulation. The report says the decision follows months of private outreach between CZ and Trump's inner circle, including efforts by the Binance founder to support the Trump family's own crypto venture. Quote, President Trump exercised his constitutional authority by issuing a pardon for Mr. Zhao, aka CZ, who was prosecuted by the Biden administration in their war on cryptocurrency. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told the Journal. The Biden administration's war on crypto is over. And then, of course, they tried to reach out to CZ. No response yet. CZ hasn't tweeted anything about it. But apparently he did get pardoned. I saw Arthur Hayes tweet this morning, welcome to the club, because he also got pardoned. So again, the first take on this is from like the Bitcoiner perspective. Binance is one of the biggest shitcoin casinos in the world, though it does have the most liquidity and volume in regards to Bitcoin itself. And so you could argue it's one of the biggest Bitcoin exchanges, though they do have, the shitcoin gambling on the side. But it does, I would kind of agree with the Wall Street Journal point on this. Like it does, or rather the quote from the Wall Street Journal, that it does seem like they are very serious about ending the, quote, Operation Choke Point 2.0 and the Biden administration's war on Bitcoin. And on that front, you kind of like we were talking about, like, what have they actually done? Well, they pardoned Ross. They pardoned Arthur Hayes. Now they pardoned CZ. Obviously, from like a what have you done for me personally lately?
Tank the price.
Yeah, that doesn't really do anything.
Every step of the way. One day you fight with China, the other day you don't. It's a freaking roller coaster for us. But you know what? Again, we pride ourselves on the value that we are hodlers, and guess what? We're hodling. We're hodling through the storm.
Yeah. So like, and serious, you guys might say it sounds selfish, but and me and Nico have had this argument all the time. It's like, bro, is the Trump administration actually doing anything? And he's like, bro, we got Ross pardoned. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, and this is gonna sound horrible. I know I'm probably gonna get clipped and quoted out of context. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm super glad to see Ross free. Like, one of the OG Bitcoiners, love it. Like, I absolutely love it. But from my perspective, like, what does this do for me? Look, I'm being selfish. I know.
I'll tell you what this does for you. This sets a precedent so that when we are able to enjoy our gains, the government will less likely come for you next.
I honestly,
that's what
okay.
It does for you.
Nico couldn't elaborate on that. So
the problem is that we take life for granted. We take our freedom for granted. We take being in this country for granted, and we don't really actually know what it is to be the man in the arena in that sense of running an exchange, running a website, running something that everybody is going to hate you for. And that is why what they're doing is so important. Like, yes, is it a shitcoin casino? Absolutely. But does this set a precedent that, we are going to be able to move forward from this without being persecuted by the government, without the threat of being put in a box? Also, yes. And that's really important. That actually might be more important than the price, because the price over the long term is probably going to go up anyway. So that part is secure. Like, we just have to be patient. We have to stop being so greedy, even though I am the first one to tell you I need the price to go up, because I want furniture and fancy things. However, my longing for furniture and fancy things does not top my longing to live calmly in the world and not have to look over my shoulder and not feel like the government is always going to be constantly after me. So this is actually so much bigger than, you know, the ideology of being a Bitcoin maxi. It's so much bigger than number go up. This means that we can all breathe a little bit easier because we don't have the man against us.
Yeah, I mean that was like, that's my more generous take, 100%. Like
Your more generous
yeah,
take.
like obviously
You're generous, Softy.
maybe a little bit, but yeah, I mean that is my whole kind of perspective, because as we've heard multiple times, the Trump administration and a lot of people obviously in the administration are Bitcoiners. You know, Howard Lutnick, whether you like him or not, Cantor Fitzgerald, partner with Strike. He's there and he's a huge Bitcoin bull. You know, the vice president, he holds Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure, you know, is RFK still there? I believe, right? He's a Bitcoiner. I think Tulsi Gabbard's spoken at the Bitcoin conference. If I remember, I think Cash Patel has some Bitcoin. So like, there's Bitcoiners. Like again, Barron Trump. Barron Trump's the goat out here. I'm trolling you guys. I'm trolling you guys. I'm
Allegedly.
I'm trolling you guys because you guys got so mad about that the other day. So I'm kind of trolling. You know, the Trump children, they're making Bitcoin ventures. And so like, to your point, Soph, I totally agree that the ending of Operation Choke Point 2.0, or as they frame it, you know, the Biden administration's attack of crypto, like ending that, it does make you feel like you can breathe a little bit. It's like, okay, cool. You know, maybe I'm not the biggest fan of what they're doing day to day, but the fact that they kind of have agreed, or rather have publicly stated, that we aren't going to attack you guys because you guys like this new technology, that does make me feel better. And I think it does set great precedent for the future. And hopefully, as Bitcoin kind of goes up in price and it does get, you know, it does become more of the political landscape and, of course, of Wall Street, and it does get more integrated into the system, even though I still believe it's a Trojan horse. Hopefully, we aren't being fought anymore. And as we've been saying for a long time, pretty soon, you know, we will get, a lot of people say, you know, Trump's the first Bitcoin president of the U.S., but one day soon we will get a maxi there, and that's when the game will change. That might be when we're like really old, or 2140 or something like that. But hey,
you know, I'm just surprised.
Non-zero chance.
I am frankly just surprised that President Trump is, you know, going for all of this. The man is like, what, 80 years old?
Oh yeah, let's not forget that he's you know, one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin.
Yeah, he's also like a huge whale, but he's also a representation of like the old world real estate, big money, Americanism, and you know, he gets it. He might not get it all the way. He might just, you know, kind of see it for his own personal gain, but it doesn't matter because his actions are speaking in our favor. And that's kind of all I can ask for.
Yeah, and I like, you know, again, I'm biased, you know, we're biased here. I'm an American. And I believe Bitcoin is like one of the best representations of what the American ethos is, you know, individual sovereignty, property rights. Like Bitcoin, as the joke goes, you know, Bitcoin is as American as apple pie. And we didn't create apple pie, but that's kind of the idea. It does instill kind of, excuse me, the American ideals into cyberspace. And this is why we, you know, so ardently came out for Bitcoin. This is why we're Bitcoiners. And then also why we were so like gung-ho about, oh, we have a president that is speaking at the Bitcoin conference, vice president also, and they're starting to talk about Bitcoin in a favorable way. And then turns out, you know, they're stacking a lot of Bitcoin too. It's like, okay, this is not a, you know, an instance of where Bitcoin is an un-American thing. To us, it's like the most American thing. Again, property rights, individual sovereignty, so, you know, something that you cannot debase, which is not necessarily in the Constitution per se, but it does tell you that the only legal tenders should be, you know, precious metal coinage, which was hard money. So I think if we've learned some things from the past, is printing your own money does bring the downfall of your empire. And this is why, as Bitcoiners, are like, it makes a no-brainer to us.
Wow. So what you're saying is that cheating the people who live in your who you govern is actually gonna backfire someday? I would have never thought, you know?
Big But yeah, anyways, so he pardoned CZ. Though you could, again, maybe I'm just feeling I'm feeling cynical today. Okay, call me cynic fields all you want, pessimistic fields today all you want, but one other way to kind of look at this is, you know, CZ basically, as I said in the past, made like one of the best trades ever. You know, paid slap on the wrist fine, went 4 months to jail. Bitcoin went up. He basically had a force hodl. He's a billionaire for money laundering. The more kind of,
well, it wasn't exactly money laundering. It was for failing to implement money
laundering. AML money laundering.
Into the exchange. He himself wasn't found guilty for money laundering.
Thank you for the clarification.
But you know, it's like
and that's a great clarification.
It's the government's job to do that. You know?
Yeah, no, great clarification, but it does bring up another conversation where you could be cynical about it, or you could say maybe this is setting precedent for other stuff, which is the cases going on with, of course, Samurai and Roman Storm, Tornado Cash. So I saw some people basically saying like, oh, you know, pardon CZ for, you know, not having good AML money laundering laws, and yet Roman Storm and the Samurai devs are in jail for literally the same thing. Like, we live in a clown world. Or
maybe they're next.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Maybe this is, you know, precedent for that to follow.
That's not cynical. That's optimistic.
No, I'm saying some people were cynical about it.
Oh.
But, you know, we're Bitcoiners, so we always argue about stuff.
I think that, you know, his track record has shown that he is very sympathetic to people who were attacked by the Biden administration. And this is, you know, I think this is a good sign actually for Samurai. And we should, you know, take it as that.
Yeah, 100%. I would say, you know, hashtag free Samurai. And, you know, and Roman Storm. Just because you're creating software doesn't necessarily mean you're you know, you're a criminal here, and you shouldn't be held accountable for what people do with that software, as we saw in the first crypto wars of the 90s. So anyways, let's keep it moving because we are going a little long today. And I'm rehashing a conversation, guys, from yesterday, from a couple of days. But hey, Bitcoin Mag's picking up on it. So it looks like the signal is picking up, guys. It looks like everyone is starting to notice where the real attack vectors are. And again, you know, be careful what we wish for here. The institutions are here. We can't stop them. But there is things that we have to kind of fight against for the next foreseeable future. So we'll be right back after our last interview or commercial. Sorry.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Okay, guys, before I cover this, Sophie did just mention we finally got the tweet from CZ, and he goes, deeply grateful for today's pardon and to President Trump for upholding America's commitment to fairness, innovation, and justice. We'll do everything we can to help make America the crypto capital. Oh, boo. And advance Web3 worldwide. Still in flight. More posts to come onwards. Okay, so it's official. Oh, wait, I didn't pull it up. Sorry, guys. Completely official here. As I was telling you guys, it was I couldn't find the official post here. Here, let me switch this up right here.
Oh, I sent it to you.
Yeah, no, I got it. I didn't have it up. So officially confirmed again. I got it from a few different confirmations from a news sources, but CZ finally posted out this, I guess, right before we went live, or actually right when we went live. So there we go, confirmation. Anyways, for the culture, I do want to talk about this. A lot of people have been sitting in the chat. I actually saw someone here. I saw someone the other day is like, Simply Bitcoin isn't talking about the core versus not debate enough. And I'm unsubscribing. I'm out of here. And I mean, my take has been the same since the beginning. One, I don't think this is an existential threat to Bitcoin. Run whatever node you want. I was always kind of confused how this became a binary thing where it's either you run knots or you update to core 30. And I was like, guys, I just don't update my node. I've been saying that for years. I literally wait years before I update my node to the next version because of stuff like this. So anyways, the reason I say that is because the title here, and you guys can tune out and be like, oh, it's written by Shinobi. But it goes,
I love Shinobi.
Yeah, I mean, I like listening to some of the stuff he says. I'll say it like that. Anyways, title here is Wall Street is Bitcoin's biggest threat, not arbitrary data. Hence why I did the kind of, core knots PSA here. And he goes,
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, this is why I'm bringing it up, because this is kind of what I believe as well. The biggest threat to Bitcoin is the concentration of economic influence created by Wall Street Bitcoin products, which is something I have been talking about the last week on the show, view through a bunch of different lenses. If you guys want to see this, of course, it's on Bitcoin Magazine. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I will read kind of the wrap up of this article because I think this is kind of where the meat and potatoes is. And he goes, centralization is efficient, but it is poison to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's entire promise is to be an apolitical and neutral platform for economic activity. It is to be an unshifting and solid foundation for you to stand surely on, devoid of concerns that it could shift out from under your feet and throw you into economic chaos. The entire promise of stability is purely a result of Bitcoin being sufficiently distributed, i.e. being composed of independent actors performing their own self-validation of the system in large enough numbers that their ability of coordinating amongst themselves to change fundamental properties of the system is either exceedingly difficult or literally impossible. When the set of economic actors participating in self-validation collapses in size, when it turns into fewer and fewer entities operating on behalf of other stakeholders, that promise of stability and neutrality collapses in lockstep with it. Bitcoin must maintain some minimum degree of distribution of self-validating actors that make up a substantial portion of economic activity, or else the core's promise of stability and neutrality evaporate. Wall Street isn't going away. So this is something that we're going to have to confront. There is no shaming them away or chasing them off. That is simply not possible in a system like Bitcoin. Bitcoin that, at least for now, is robust in its distribution and decentralization. This is a war of incentives and counter incentives. We must create positive incentives to encourage more direct self-validating use of Bitcoin rather than legacy financial wrappers like ETF and treasury companies, or Bitcoin will be confronted with a fundamental crisis as to whether its core promise was ever really possible. I couldn't agree with this more. As I've been telling you guys for a while, I'm also starting to see this trend. I don't think the arbitrary data, argument or debate, or, a lot of people were saying it's like the new block size, or I really don't see that. I think it's a lot of people getting hyped up. Like, the price hasn't been doing anything. And as we all know, when the price doesn't do anything, Bitcoiners love to attack each other. That's like the best time for when the price is stable.
Yeah.
Is when we start attacking each other.
Can I say something? Let's tie this back to our very first story of today, and what Tucker Carlson was saying. The headline is, he says Bitcoin is a scam. But if you really listen to what he said that it could be co-opted and people who own it could get scammed. And that's something that he doesn't want to see. And this isn't me trying to defend him, okay? I think he has a fundamental lack of understanding and awareness around Bitcoin. And again, he himself admits that. However, this article kind of makes that point for him. I think that, if Wall Street ends up taking everybody's Bitcoin and there isn't enough of an incentive for regular people to use Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, use it for what it's intended for, which is peer-to-peer, then could it get taken by these governments and institutions, and could they rug everybody by owning the majority of Bitcoin? I think that is something that we do kind of have to be wary of.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of what I was saying in the beginning. Is like, as a Bitcoiner, you do think about that a lot. Of, are we actually doing what we were sold on? The promises of Bitcoin. Are we actually doing that, or are we building something that is more akin to a gilded cage? I know a lot of people say, look, like Tucker himself said, digital currencies terrify me, and I don't want to go into a world that is just run by digital currencies. And I mean, I agree with that point. If that world is just a world built on CBDCs, I don't think that Bitcoin is in the same camp. Yes, it's a digital currency, but you can't actually shut anyone off from Bitcoin. And so that is, I think, the fundamental conversation right now is like, okay, look, the institutions are here. And they are trying to, I think at this point, realizing that they can't actually stop Bitcoin. So if they can't stop the network, and I know a lot of people are saying, like, maybe that's what's going on with the node debate, is some kind of infiltration, et cetera, make it more so that there's more of an attack vector to people that run nodes. But what we are seeing, which I think is another kind of attack vector, is the idea of, hey, we're going to try to incentivize you to give up control of that Bitcoin. We will be the centralized controllers or maintainers of that Bitcoin. Trust us, bro. We're going to offer you some convenience, and you could use it for collateral, and we'll give you some yield on it. And then all that Bitcoin does get centralized. And as I was saying yesterday, everyone was asking me, like, how long do you think this is going to happen for? And I'm like, probably for, this is like the next foreseeable future. Like, this is the next fight, is not necessarily an outright fight, but you fighting yourself so that you don't get called by the siren song and you don't give up custody of your total holdings. I could understand for some people, maybe you give like you throw some pennies at it for some use cases or whatever, but you don't want to give control of all of your coin over to BlackRock. Like, you don't want to do the in-kind redemption of your holdings so that you can get some kind of benefits from the financial system, because there is greater concerns if they hold all of the Bitcoin. Who knows what can happen potentially, where you just get rug pulled as an individual, and you basically have handed over your control of your money to these middlemen, which Bitcoin was designed to kind of disintermediate in the first place. So I think that is kind of the siren song that we're living through, is they are trying to incentivize us to give up control of our Bitcoin, and we have to fight fight your own psychology and greed so that you don't give it up. I think that is the fight right now. So, yeah.
Yeah. Get yourself a BitKey and keep your Bitcoin in self-custody. It's the best thing that you will be doing for yourself and future generations, and keep your seed on something that can't be destroyed while you're at it. Double plug.
Yeah, as the chat's saying, I like the Battle of BlackRock. That sounds kind of lit. Don't give them your sats, guys. Hold your Bitcoin in self-custody. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the show for today. That's all I got for you. So,
guys, we have some new merch out that Opti is modeling, and we want you guys to buy it. Check it out. Check out our website.
Yeah, make Sophie
Bitcoin.
work so she can ship it to you
God,
guys.
I honestly, I shouldn't have said that, but it's a lot of work. I am the person that personally packages and sends the merch. So yeah, whatever. Put me to work. Let's do it. Buy lots of merch.
Yeah, buy the swag. Stack Bitcoin first. Buy the Simply Bitcoin merch second. Anyways, guys, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Again, apologies for the late start today. Later than usual. We did start a little late, but we were trying to figure out the the lighting. As you can tell, no more shadows everywhere. I look super handsome because it's only the camera, so it's not in real life. But yeah. Anyways, guys, we'll be back tomorrow closer to 12:30 than today. I know you guys sat there for a while and you guys were a little angry, but we don't have the technician in here every single day. Anyways, guys, have a good rest of your day. This has been Opti, your host, and of course, the wonderful Internet Sophie as co-host. We'll be back tomorrow for the last show of the week. Again, we go live Monday through Friday, 12:30-ish every day. All right, later, guys.
Bye.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.